Alright, folks, I watched Beavis and Butthead do the universe. I'm a Beavis and Butthead fan, I would call myself. I'm not a super fan, but I enjoy their humor. I am a very immature gentleman, so their humor really connects with me. Let me just pull up my notes. Boom! So, Beavis and Butthead, for those of you who don't know, cartoon started out on MTV, and the whole shtick about Beavis and Butthead actually was that there would be episodes where there would be a plot, and at the end of the episode or halfway through the episode, I can't really remember, they would actually critique music videos. So they were basically doing reaction videos before it was a popular thing. But that wasn't the only thing for Beavis and Butthead. They had that TV show, then they had the movie Beavis and Butthead Do America, which when it came out actually didn't really get good reviews, but I quite enjoy Beavis and Butthead Do America for what it is. And Mike Judge, who created Beavis and Butthead, also made King of the Hill. He tried remaking the show in, I'd say, around 2010, and it didn't really take off like he thought it would, so it got canceled after one season. And now it's 10 years after when he tried doing that comeback, and he's coming out on Paramount Plus with this Beavis and Butthead Do America. And one thing I do really like about Beavis and Butthead is that it's uniquely Mike Judge's vision. From what I can tell, anyway. Every episode, it's under his supervision. It's not something like The Simpsons or Family Guy, where it started off with one creator, and then the creator kind of got bored and wanted to pursue different things, so just gave it to a group of writers. That's not the case with Mike Judge. He seems to be very protective of the properties he creates, which is pretty cool. The plot of Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe is that Beavis and Butthead are recruited by NASA in the year 1998 to do something on the International Space Station. All of a sudden, something goes wrong. They go through a black hole, and they find themselves in the year 2022. And it's basically these two teenagers from the 90s finding themselves in modern day and how they adapt to that. Sorry. I'm going to start with the biggest negative I have with this movie, because it's also a negative I have with most cartoons nowadays. It looks too crisp. It looks too digital. And especially for Beavis and Butthead, the whole humor of Beavis and Butthead, sorry, is how shitty it looks. Beavis and Butthead is a uniquely shitty looking cartoon, but that's kind of the appeal of Beavis and Butthead. And one thing I do like about Beavis and Butthead is when you look at the early Family Guys, the character designs of Peter and Louis and Stewie, they all kind of evolved as animation improved with time. Same thing with The Simpsons. You look at the early Simpsons and they all kind of look like shit. But then as time went on, they kind of adapted to the style we know The Simpsons as right now. But Beavis and Butthead, I feel like the animation improved for all the background characters, but they kept the shitty animation style for Beavis and Butthead, which is pretty unique in its own right. But I do wish it had that hand-drawn animation style, that kind of grainy look, the hard lines. Just, I don't like that digital look. It's something, I know it's something that probably just bothers me, probably doesn't bother most of you, but I just thought I'd mention it. I'm sorry. But yeah, I just kind of miss that rugged MTV look for Beavis and Butthead. And mind you, Beavis and Butthead Do America had some really cool animation in there as well. I remember there's a scene where they trip on some cactus in the desert and all the animations going crazy. I just don't like this digital animation look, and I understand animation's expensive, you gotta cut some corners, but yeah. Yeah, Beavis and Butthead, when it first started, the animation style was cutting corners already. Anyway, enough with that rant. I thought this movie was freaking brilliant. Something I wasn't expecting from this movie was its satire. Usually, Beavis and Butthead, they're just going around acting like crude teenagers. That's not the case in this one. This one is actually probably the smartest thing Beavis and Butthead have landed themselves in. Uh, Comparing it to other Mike Judge projects, it's most resemblant to Idiocracy in the way the satire is set up. I thought this movie really reminded me of Idiocracy more so than Beavis and Butthead Do America. But that's not to say the crude humor is no longer there. The crude humor is still there. it's just you get a balance of both. You get some really smart jokes in here, and you get some very dumb potty jokes, sex jokes. I still like that shit though. I like a mix of both. I'm a very immature guy. Like I said, I'm a Beavis and Butthead fan. So I'm gonna talk about my favorite moments. If you don't want any spoilers, click away right now. But my two favorite bits in here that just show how good the satire is. So the first one is Beavis falls in love with Siri. He thinks that Siri is a real woman, a woman that he's met before, and he just assumes that Siri is this girl by the name of Serena. I thought that worked, and it had a lot to say about how people are falling in love with their phones nowadays. But the other one that's I feel people are talking about more is this scene where Beavis and Butthead go into a university and they go into a gender studies class. And as soon as I saw that banner, gender studies, I was like, oh shit, what are they gonna get themselves into? As soon as they enter the class, Butthead is like, Beavis, look at all these sluts. And I fucking died of laughter just at that. And I recognized the voice of the gender studies professor was Tig Notaro, so that was interesting as well. But they're basically roasting this gender studies class, and I feel like it had a lot to say. Like, it was pretty good satire as well, because you know that people who attend these gender studies class, these middle upper class white women, they actually perceive white men to some extent the way they're describing Beavis and Butthead. They tell Beavis and Butthead, you guys have it easy. Your dad works on Wall Street. He's a rich white guy. You'll never have to work a day in your life. And Butthead says, oh, cool. I always thought my dad died of syphilis. Just stuff like that. It was just that scene was the hardest I laughed in a movie in quite a while. So yeah, those were my two favorite things. Beavis falling in love with Siri and the gender studies class. Oh yeah, they walk out of the gender studies class and they act like assholes because they discover they have white privilege. Step aside, women, we have a white privilege. That was so perfect. That was the hardest I laughed in quite a bit. And yeah, it's the kind of comedy you don't get in entertainment nowadays all that often. So just my overall thoughts. The satire in here really worked. The crude humor in here really worked. I enjoyed it as a Beavis and Butthead fan. If you're a Beavis and Butthead fan, don't expect your traditional Beavis and Butthead movie. It doesn't have a lot of the side characters you would see in the MTV show or in Beavis and Butthead Do America. But I'm a fan of Mike Judge in general, and this is definitely one of the better things he's made in quite a while, in my opinion. And just as an overall thought, Paramount is fucking crushing it this year. They made Jackass Forever, which was the hardest I laughed in the cinema in quite a while at the time. They made this movie, Beavis and Butthead, which was a great return to form for Beavis and Butthead. And they did Top Gun, which was a sequel to a movie that came out 40 years ago that no one thought they wanted, but turns out they did really need that movie because it's fucking shattering all kinds of records, making billions of dollars. So Paramount's really crushing it. And one thing I think Paramount is doing with those three movies is that they're not like doing passing of the torch movies. That's one thing I'm fucking sick of is, oh, it's Han Solo is back, but he's going to pass the torch to Rey. Or the Ghostbusters, oh, the Ghostbusters are back, but they're passing the torch to little kids. Paramount's not doing this. Top Gun, you go see Top Gun, you see Tom Cruise flying planes. Jackass Forever, yes, they had new cast, but for the most part, the original cast did all the stunts. And this movie as well, it's just a return to form. They don't have Beavis and Butthead with daughters now. It's just a really entertaining movie. Guys, have you seen Beavis and Butthead do the universe? Sorry, I was about to say do America. Comment below and let me know, and I'll see you guys around.